Hey, this is Patrick from Titus Andronicus, and you're listening to the Hood Rat Recap Podcast.
Woke up in the 20s and there were flappers and fruits and whites.
We got bored, so we started a podcast about the best bar band in the land, man. This is the Hood Rat Recap, and we are back, and this is a special flashcast. Hello, everybody. This is Stage Right Mike on the mic. And before I haul it all the way back to St. Paul, yes, that's right. I'm not in the Midwest. I'm out here with you, Gasper, the very Unified Scene's very own King of Queens, Gasper. Can you believe we're in the same time zone together?
I know, this is crazy. This hasn't happened since First Avenue, actually, since the podcast began.
A lot of good sentences start out with "this hasn't happened since First Avenue," but that's another story.
And we're also joined by, of course, our producer and third mic, Kevin is wherever. How's it going, man?
What's up, everybody? This is really exciting. This is Hood Rat Recap podcast history right here. The first time the three of us are in the same time zone. We've seen a Hold Steady show together, the three of us, for the first time. So lots to break down as we're halfway through massive nights at the Brooklyn Bowl. So we should get right into it.
Hi, my name's Denise. I am from Syracuse, New York. I am very excited to be here at the Brooklyn Bowl, and I want to hear Unpleasant Breakfast. Actually, let me scratch that. I have to hear Unpleasant Breakfast. I want to hear Appalachians. Why did they never play it? Why no love for Appalachians?
Andrew and Abby, we're from Connecticut. We're hoping to hear How a Resurrection Really Feels, Party Pit, and Hornets from me. How about from you, Abby?
Southtown and Chill Out 10.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
Kevin Lee, Chicago, Illinois, $40.
Good thing. All right, thank you.
And yeah, as you could tell by hearing some of those voiceovers on the intro there, we ran in and we were talking to you, the fans of the Hold Steady, and we ran into quite a few of you. And we'll be playing you throughout this episode. And I just want to get you guys, what did you think? We've been to a sound check. Me and Gasper have been to both shows. Kevin has been to one show and a sound check. What are you guys' general impressions about the early part of the Brooklyn Bowl show? Massive nights here.
I mean, it's been a great first half of the weekend. We've been through, like you said, the first two shows and the sound check, and I can't wait to get to the second half. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. The crowd's been a lot of fun. The set lists have been amazing. You want to talk a little bit about the set list? Like, we got quite a bit from Stay Positive and the earlier stuff, the Almost Killed Me and Separation Sunday. Kind of feels like some old school shows, you know?
Yeah, and I think we kind of predict. Night one started out with Positive Jam, which I think every residency, the first song of the first night is usually Positive Jam. Right. I mean, that's to be suspected. And then, like you said, we got a bunch of old songs coming out. We got some off the Sideways Skull. We got night one, which has been played a few times now. Right,
that's like the old new song. Which
the old new song.
That was originally Bloodbath was the original name of the song, and now we know it as Sideways Skull. We actually even got a nice story. Why it's called Sideways Skull at the soundcheck party, where Craig told us basically he was imagining someone drawing a Corrosion of Conformity logo, and that just spins off into like the band and who has tried to draw a Corrosion Conformity logo on various things as they were kids and musicians. And I think it was Tad said he tried to draw one on a denim jacket and it just looked ridiculous.
That's so Tad.
Yeah.
That first night we got a bunch of old songs, and then the encore we got Parade Days. They've been doing the slow song for the first song of the encore, so we got a very slow. I think that's a pretty slow song, Parade Days, and then it went into Constructive Summer, and then what about the cover song they played?
Sound
All Through the City, which is a Dr. Feelgood song, and that's actually been released by them. I don't know how many people are aware of it. There's a cover record called Rags that you got through Pledge Music if you did the Pledge Music campaign. And this is going back, I think Kevin's got the date. Well, when did that record come out? It was like
2014, I think I had it. Let me look it up.
So it's not something you could find on Spotify. It's not something I think you could even find on Apple Music. I have the record. It's actually really good.
And what's funny about that song is that the lyrics Craig could have wrote the song because the last verse is, I've been searching through the city, see you in the morning down by the jetty. I've been searching through the city, see you in the morning down by the jetty. And that sounds like Hold Steady to me. I don't know about you guys.
And they pulled that song out because the guitarist from Dr. Feelgood just passed away. So it's kind of a tribute to him, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
One thing that you guys got on the show you went to that I didn't get to see was Southtown Girls, which is always like a fun little sing-along the way they start it. And I was kind of hoping I was going to get that last night, but you guys got that on night one, but it didn't make it into night two. Not that night two was bad. I actually loved night two's set list as a whole over, but Southtown Girls was always a favorite live that we didn't get last night.
We should tell Kevin with the walkout music he missed in night one. You remember that?
Oh yeah. It's Bing Crosby, right? Does the Most Wonderful Time of the Year.
We think it was Bing Crosby. It wasn't Dean Martin. We're pretty sure it was Bing Crosby.
There's so many holiday recordings it could have been, which
could have been anyone, but we think it was Bing Crosby. It sounded like Bing. It sounded, you could almost hear him beating his kids in the background. I'm just kidding, but it sounded like Bing Crosby.
Oh, Bing.
So one of the things to note from that night is the only song we get from Heaven is Wherever is Hurricane J. And that kind of holds through so far for the weekend. We haven't gotten much from that record. But it's cool to hear that song. That's a favor from everybody.
Well, the amazing thing for night one for me was, I don't know if we've ever seen this before, but 2 Teeth Dream songs right in a row.
Yeah.
So that was Spinners and The Only Thing, and I love The Only Thing. I mean, yeah. I could hear that. And then we got it in the sound check, too, the next night, right?
Right. So just to go over a little bit of what they did with the sound check, we got Don't Let Me Explode, which is, I think, one of the best songs they play at the sound check. The sound check's always kind of subdued and a bit more mellow. It's a way smaller crowd, and it's a lot of fun to have them do that. It's kind of like an intimate song to begin with. They played Adderall, which they did not play in the main set, so it was kind of fun to get that. We got Sideways Skull with the story. We got The Only Thing again. Separate Vacations, which they did play in the main set that night too. And what was cool about that was he was kind of testing out Stuart Boogie accompanying on the song. They literally did it for the first time just to see how it would work. So it was like really being at a sound check, like where they were just kind of experimenting. And it did sound great, I thought. Hostile Massachusetts they played, and then I Hope This Whole Thing Didn't Bother You. And that pretty much wrapped up the sound check. But then we get into
Didn't
night
they
two.
played Multitude of Casualties?
Yes, because they were going to do a song with Stuart Boogie,
I thought they
looked
were,
to the back
and
of
then
the
he
stage.
right, like, or did they talk about
Stuart
it?
left.
You're
right.
I forgot
I
about
remember they mentioned that, like that, because that was Tad's song, right? Wasn't when they were asking each guy like the favorite part, like Tad mentioned like he loved a part in that song, and they were going to do it with Stuart Boogie, and then Stuart left. I remember that one being talked about.
Stuart slipped out, up the back of the stage. Then they switched it to Multitude of Casualties. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
that was fun. That was, I mean, as a sound check event, I've been to a bunch of them through the years. Like the Hold Steady really does it well, just because of the way they integrate the music into what they do. And as a fan sitting there, it's fun. And it's even more fun that those songs then don't make it into the set list. Like it kind of gives you a reason to go and be there, as opposed to, I'm sure you'll hear Adderall tonight. I would be surprised if.
I'm kind of hoping. I'm bringing my son with me, and I know he's really hoping to hear Adderall, so I'm hoping they play it. But we'll see.
I hope they give it to him.
Oh, me too. That's it.
Hey, I'm Kat from Vermont, and I'm really hoping to hear Constructive Summer tonight. Not like it'll be a shock when I do, but it still makes me happy.
So I'm Howard
from Leeds in the UK, which is not London. It's 200 miles north of London, and that's quite important to us because there's a north-south divide in England. I'm hoping to hear Banging Camp, but I feel I might be disappointed because I think they might rehearse it with the horns at the sound check if they're playing it. But it's always a thing of beauty, because we all know there are strings attached to every single lover.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, Karen Holthouse. I live outside Green Bay, Wisconsin. I want to hear One for the Cutters tonight because most people do not realize that is actually about the Little 500 in Bloomington, Indiana, which I went to the Hold Steady the Friday night of Little 500 weekend, and it was when Franz wasn't in the band, so they didn't play One for the Cutters while playing in Indiana on Little 500 weekend.
Okay. My name is Beth. I'm from Vermont, and since Laura Stevenson is here, I'm hoping that Jeff Rosenstock is here too, and they're going to do Chill Out Tent.
And speaking of songs that people hope that they play, we did speak to you guys in the audience, and we got some feedback on what everyone was hoping to hear. And one of the things that Ryan from Western Massachusetts specifically brought up was he wanted to hear, I'll play you the clip and he could tell you what he wanted to hear.
My name's Ryan. I'm from Western Mass, and I'm hoping to hear tonight specifically Constructive Summer into Hot Soft Light. That, for me, is like every time they do it, I'm like, they fucking nailed it. 10 out of 10, no question.
And so they actually did play Constructive Summer into Hot Soft Light, which is...
Great call, Ryan.
One of the best transitions, I think, in their set
I love
list.
that.
That's just, I can't help but, like, as they start playing that part to Hot Stuff Light, like right out of Constructive Summer, like you have to jump in the air like a poker stick. Like it's, you have no choice.
Two amazing songs sung better together. Yeah, it's just incredible.
Which is interesting too, because they're not from the same record. They were written in two totally different time spaces, but they do play so well together. So props to our on the ground listener that gave us that suggestion, because when he called it and then it happened, it really did. It hit in a big way.
And I'm just having so much fun listening to these sound clips because you can hear the ambient noise in the background, which it was just a party atmosphere, and everybody was just so great. We're just so happy to meet as many listeners as we did.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we really do appreciate everybody that took time and recorded and said they've checked it out. I mean, that's why we do this. It is for the listener, and it's fun for us. And it was great to be in a room with everybody last night going over it. And even something Mike said earlier, which will kind of transition into night two, is that you guys got 2 Teeth Dream songs in a row on night one, and last night we didn't get any Teeth Dream songs. So I think
that's true.
Craig said during the sound check, what do they have? 137 songs, 135 songs? It was
somewhere in that ballpark.
Somewhere in that ballpark. Like that was the number he said. And so it's interesting when you hear like, all right, we have to make a set list, and how he writes them in advance and kind of sends ideas to the band after taking in their feedback, that, you know, in his mind, as he's putting these shows together to play for these 4 nights, you know, night one, we're going to give him 2 Teeth Dreams, and then night 2, we're not going to give him any Teeth Dreams. But, you know, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be there to see that creative process breakthrough.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he say he wrote these set lists out like months ago? Or
yeah, he said his process basically now is like he'll send an email out being like, hey, like any special requests from the band, like is there anything anyone wants to play? And then Craig just has been constructing the set list for the entire weekend, which is kind of cool. Like it's like a map to the weekend, and he gets to kind of plan it all out. I'm sure you'll get to see some of the songs that we, you know, the staples that you want to hear, and then they make sure they hit all the records. So I'm expecting we're going to get some variations tonight and tomorrow. Probably a little bit more, or at least I'm hoping a little bit more Heaven is Wherever. And, you know, that's a good point. Like, what are you hoping to hear tonight, Mike?
I mean, I guess we want Adderall. I mean, last night, I told Kevin when we were leaving, I go, night 2 was one of the best shows I've ever been to, because the encore, I mean, I could just mint this and use it every show, but they did Citrus and then Modesto in D. So if Modesto's not so sweet, they must have done it in the key of D, because Craig said some nights you can't hit the notes and they'll change the key. But then they went into Stay Positive, where we had our mosh pit Josh out there doing his mosh pitty Josh-ish, where he was doing his body slamming into knowledge and just going crazy. And then, of course, Killer Parties and Stuart Boogie played on those last three songs. So that took out a lot of songs I wanted to hear. Yeah, tonight I guess I want to hear Adderall. I guess I wouldn't mind hearing a new song off the new album.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything you guys want to hear?
I mean, I'm hoping to hear How Resurrection Really Feels, because that's always the song I want to hear them play live, which I would imagine they would play at the end of the show, but we'll see. Kev, I know you're not coming with us tonight, but what's your pick for tonight? What are you hoping they play?
I mean, we've spent a lot of time in a bar listening to How Resurrection Really Feels through a very poor bar sound system. So that one would be fun to hear live. I was spoiled last night because they did play a lot of Stay Positive. And, when I get to hear songs like Lord, I'm Discouraged live, which is one of my favorites from that album. And, that would Stay Positive with Josh. And, to Josh's credit, he got on stage, he kind of threw his shoulder bump and fell on the floor, and, God bless him. Making it done. Josh, who's also was a former guest on the podcast, so we want to especially give a shout out to him. But, he went up there and really killed it. He really was doing it. But, I like I said, I would have loved, because I wasn't there night one, if they did Southtown Girls tonight too, would be another one I always love to hear.
Cool.
I was just going to say, lucky we know Josh is such a nice guy, because he tears it up like an animal on the stage. I mean, he just goes for it, and that's why we love him.
we really do. And, they did magazines last night, which is always one of my favorites to hear live. And we should kind of talk about Sixers, because for people listening that don't really know, they played a song, Sixers, which I think somebody said as we were talking, like, they've played it before, but it was the first time, I guess, played in the States.
Right. So this is going to be one of the songs off the new record that's coming in 2023. They said early 2023, actually. And we've heard it before, I believe, on the Weekenders, but this will be the first time it was played in the States. And I think, Kevin, you said you liked this better than Sideways Skull, right?
I did. I actually, and you know what? I also feel like this is also to Craig's credit of constructing a great set list. That song fell in between Entitlement Crew, which is always a fun live song, and Sequestered in Memphis, which is almost like, if Hold Steady ever had a hit song, that's the one. And like, so you kind of sandwich a new song in there. And like, Mike said it last time as we were walking out, I felt like they were on stage for 30 minutes. They did a solid 2 hours, but like the way the show flew
by.
It really did go fast. It was a great 2 hours of music, and the ebbs and flows were, I mean, even just opening up last night with Denver Haircut was, just really cool. And like, it's, thrashing through is, a newer record, and there they are, like, here we go.
And you don't get Denver Haircut to start off a show very often, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Well, it was when we were talking about Sixers, when we first saw it come up in London, we didn't hear it. I said I hope it was an old school basketball song, and I'm glad to hear it was about a girl that likes to watch basketball, because that kind of describes my girlfriend. So she might like that one. So.
All right. Well, Mike and I actually got to get going, because it's almost time to head out to the third night of Massive Nights 3. But I was glad we get together and do this flash episode. Before we cut out, I do want to give a special shout out to Rob from London. We met you at Massive Nights last night, and he told us he's a fan of the podcast. We appreciate you, man. So thanks for listening, and thanks to all you guys for listening.
And yeah, thanks to everybody that listens to the show. I get to produce this with Mike and Gasper, and it's a lot of fun. And if you guys enjoy it, tell a friend, leave a comment, write a note. We're on every platform you could find us: Apple, Spotify, iHeart. We have a link tree, and we just appreciate y'all taking the time to give us a listen. So if you really do like the podcast and love the band like we do, and want to give us some love online, we'd love to read your comments. Feel free to reach out on Twitter or Facebook or any platform, and tell your friends to check us out. And
yeah, so just to give you those locations for us on social media, you can find us on Facebook, the Hood Rat Recap. You can find us on Twitter at Hood Rat Recap. You can send us an email at thehoodratrecap@gmail.com. And like Kevin said, we do have a link tree. So you'll find that also on our social media. And thanks again for joining us. And I'm Gasper. That's Mike. That's Kevin. And all us guys, and all you guys, especially all you guys at Brooklyn Bowl tonight, we are all the Hood Rat Recap.
All right, we got a sound check to get to. Let's get to it.
Killer party sounds check.